Welcome to today's live. Happy Monday. Let me go and still get this. The lighting in this room is so weird. Hey, look at that little thing behind me, that shadow of light. But anyways, stop shaking. Welcome to today's live. I am still sharing information with you regarding using your car for business. So this is the third video in this series. Last time I talked about, what did I talk about last time? Last time I basically talked about when the minimum requirements you have to meet when you're getting ready to put a car in your business name. Thank you guys for joining me live. If you're catching my live for the first time, I am Ronica and I help my clients save anywhere from $5,000 to over $100,000 on your taxes using tax planning strategies. Any return I look at, I can guarantee that I can at least find an extra $5,000 in deduction, and sometimes business use of car is where some of those deductions may be hidden. So pretty much I mentioned that last time. Every time this topic comes up, it's always an overwhelming of questions about, do I get a car in my business name? Should I lease? Should I purchase? All these questions I normally get, whether I'm speaking to new business owners or seasoned business owners. It's just always a topic that people just are never comfortable with, and they always want more information on it. So I'm here to give you more information on this. So the lease versus buy question, whether I should go out there and purchase a car, or should I just lease the car and I'm using this car in my business as well. So some of the things that you have to consider, that it's not only a how much I'm going to get to deduct tax question when you're thinking about lease or purchase a car. Some of the factors are more of other financial things may come into play, and also sometimes lifestyle comes into play. Like a lot of business owner clients who are making over 500K, they like to lease cars because guess what? They like to be riding around in a new car every 3 years because they like to change their cars. And sometimes people will buy, but the decision on whether to lease or buy, a lot of times what I see have surpassed only a tax conversation. So it includes a few things, and one of the first thing that you're gonna want to consider, let me see here, is upfront cost. How much is it going to cost for you to acquire this car? Say for instance you've already shopped and you already know the type of car that you want. Say for instance it's a Tesla, right? You want a Tesla, fully loaded, advanced model, everything. How much cash do you have to make a down payment? A lot of people, they really want to make large down payment because they, don't want to have this high car payment paying every month. So they want to make sure that they come to the table with some amount of cash so that they can start on a good foot financially. So for instance, you just want a low monthly payments. Normally lease would be the way to go then, because the lease payments are normally less and you don't have to come up with so much cash up front for a down payment on a car, especially if you want a car that's expensive. I see people are starting to join now. Hey Shamika, thanks for the love, girl. The other things that you want to consider, other than the upfront cost of how much my down payment is going to be for this car, how much my monthly payment is going to be, you want to also look at I mentioned the lifestyle. Some people like to have a new car every few years. Some people like to have their car forever. As we know that when you buy a car, the saying is once you drive it off the lot, it loses half the value. That's what they normally say. So all those factors combined, do you want to spend 70, 80 grand for a car? Or do you want to go ahead and lease that car for a certain time period and then switch it and lease the next one? The next thing that you want to think about is the maintenance for a car. A lot of people that buy high-end cars, they don't want to keep them until they're too old because the cost of maintenance goes up. And a lot of people don't like to deal with car issues or maintaining cars. When you lease a car, the cost of the maintenance is covered under the lease, so you really don't have to do anything other than drive the darn thing. And anything wrong, you take it to the dealership, they'll fix everything and you're back up and running. So those are some of the factors that you're gonna think about when you're getting ready to get a car. You know, what's the cost of the car that you want to drive around in? If it's like a fully loaded Tesla, you know, how much is it gonna cost? What's the down payment that you're gonna make? Crystal, thanks for joining. How much down payment that you want to make on that car? What's going to be the monthly cost of that car? Do you drive a lot? If you drive a whole lot, then I don't think that they're going to want you to lease. You're gonna because there, you know, miles limit to lease on a car. Are you driving a lot? If you're not driving a lot, are you someone that wants to have a new car every few years? If you want to have a lease car every few years, then I still hit the note each month and the higher cost of insurance. Exactly. So, and then, you know, to your point, Crystal, some people want to have a car that they can just pay off in 5 years and then they just don't have to worry about having a car note for a next, you know, 5 to 10 years, however long that person wants to keep their car. And then, you know, maintenance costs, you know, once the car starts getting older, then the maintenance cost kicks in. So that's all the things that you basically, you know, put all these factors together and then just rate which ones are more important to you. If you want low monthly payment, you don't drive a lot, you want to change your car every few years, then maybe lease is going to be the best fit for you. If you're a person that, you know, you want to go ahead and, you know, make a down payment of the car, you want to go ahead and keep the car after you've paid off the car payment, then you know, maybe purchase is going to be a better decision for you. So normally it's an individual decision. People base it on many factors. But when it comes to the tax deduction, whether you lease or you purchase, there's tax savings when you use a car for business. I mentioned in my previous live that the only thing that matters is how much you use a car for business. So whether you lease or purchase a car in your personal name or your business name, from a tax perspective, that the IRS still wants you to prove business use of the car. You have to show that you're using the car for business, and that's how much deduction you get. So when you purchase a car, you get a note, you pay up front or you pay in cash, how you finance it, it really doesn't matter. You get to deduct a higher amount up front from a tax perspective. If the car, you get to basically write off a higher amount up front based on, you know, depreciation of the car. It's based on the cost of the car and, you know, the number of years that the car is considered will be in use for. So you get a bigger chunk of a tax deduction up front. Of course, there are limits to it. If it's a fully loaded Tesla, 80 grand or something like that, then there are limits to how much you're going to be able to deduct in the first, second, and third year. Or there are also luxury car limits. So normally you're not going to get that big $80,000 right off in the first year. You're going to get a portion of that, and then also you have to factor in how much you use that car for business versus personal. If you lease the car, you get a more even deduction over time because you make your lease payment, you know, pay your other expenses, you know, for the car, and that's what you basically deduct over time for the, you know, the cost of, you know, your lease and everything else that's factored into this payment, gas, so forth. And then of course your business versus personal portion should also be considered. If you're a person who drives a lot and you find that your mileage deduction is a better deduction because you only get to write off either your mileage or the actual cost of basically operating the car. So say for instance you realize that your mileage is way higher than, you know, all these things that you're paying for your car payment and all of this, then regardless if you lease or buy, if you're deducting your miles, leasing or buying, it doesn't matter, you get the same amount because this is just strictly based on how many miles you're driving for business. The decision on how much tax deduction you get for the purchase is if you're basically writing off the actual expenses of operating the car, getting a car note, the cost of the car over time, gas, insurance, things like that, that you get a percentage of, not the total amount, a percentage of. I don't care what you all said, you use a business card, you use this to pay it. At the end of the day, when they run the calculation, those numbers get adjusted. So I know that a lot of business owners get basically confused because they're like, well, I'm paying it on my business card, so I'm going to get to deduct all of it. That's pretty much not how it works, because at the end of the day, when your tax person preparing your return, they make an adjustment for based on the information that you provided to say how much you're using this car for business. Well, that's it for today. If you're planning to lease or buy a car, and you know that you will still get some tax savings. When you purchase, you get a bigger chunk up front. When you lease, you get a more even amount over the 3 years for the lease, and then when you lease the next one, you get the same amount based on your lease payments and other expenses. If it's your mileage, you get the same amount regardless if you lease or purchase, because it's just based on how many miles that you're driving a car. And the other factors that you consider are the upfront cost of the car maintenance, how much you drive, your lifestyle. The IRS don't care about your lifestyle, but you care. So how do you get a good mix of the two to say that you like a new car every few years, so you're going to lease rather than be stuck with a car when you purchase it? Well, that's it for today. Again, I am Ronica, and I help business owners to reduce their taxes using tax planning strategies. Have a good day.